So yesterday we learned how to solve problems that were like this. Where we have one angle, one known side, and one unknown side. So generally our first step was to label the sides. So in this case we have x is our hypotenuse side. We have an adjacent or attached side. What's that in the background? It's getting on top of my owl. So if we have got an A and an H, then that means that we will be using the car, the cos circle. So second step is to figure out what our equation needs to be. So we put our finger over what we're trying to find. We're trying to find the hypotenuse. So got our finger over that. It leaves A divided by H. So hypotenuse equals A divided by C. Did I just say A divided by H? A divided by C. So what are all these things stand for? H is X, that's what we're trying to find. A is 4 meters, and C stands for cos of the angle, and the angle is 65. So divided by cos 65. Alright, zoom out a bit. Okay, got a calculator. So we're going to calculate 4 divided by cos 65. That equals 9.465. Equals 9.465. And that's to, well, meters, 4 significant figures. I think I'll just do 4 significant figures from now on, just so you guys get used to that sort of convention. It's more common in year 12, but it's good for you to actually know what that convention is. Alright, so that's the answer for our first one. Then we've got this problem, so we're trying to find y this time. Y is on our adjacent, attached side, and we have been given 3 centimeters, which is on the opposite side. Our angle is 26, so we've got an O and an A, so this is going to be using TOA, the TOA circle. So what we're going to do, we're trying to work out what y is, so we're going to put our finger over that, which reveals what we need to do to figure it out. We need to take O, divide it by T. So our formula is A equals O divided by T. Now we just sub in what our values are. So A is Y. Our opposite side is 3 centimeters, and T stands for tan of the angle, tan of 26. Let's chuck that in our calculator. 3 divided by tan, 26, close bracket, generally it helps to, I mean, sometimes you can have complications if you forget to close your bracket off. So I just always close it off, even though it probably wouldn't. 1509, so we're going to round that 9 up to a 1, so 6.151. One thing to note, the Gamma textbook online, the pages don't match up, but the exercises should. It's the exact same textbook online, but it generally does about 2 or 3 pages per actual textbook page. It's just the way it's laid out. So from now on, I'm going to say the exercise name, and that's probably the best way for you to track down what exercise to do. Okay. Finding the angle. So sometimes we want to know the angle instead of what the other two sides are. So in this situation, we've got 2 blocks high and 4 blocks across. So how do we solve this problem? How do we work out the angle? Well, it's slightly different, but you use the same process for most of it. We're still labeling the sides the same, so we've got 4 is our attached side and 2 is our opposite side. So and theta is, so the angle is always attached to either sine, cos or tan, whichever sort of circle we're using. Because we're using O and A, we'll be using the TOA circle. But this time we're covering up the T, so we use O divided by A to find T. So T equals O divided by A. So what that really means is tan of theta, the angle, equals the opposite is 2 and the adjacent is 4. So that's not our answer. Our answer isn't a half, because that's what tan theta is. Tan theta is just a decimal, right? We want to do the tan, we want to bring that tan across. So when it comes across an equal sign, it becomes a negative 1 tan. So that is just because tan is like it's a function. It has it's doing a lot of background calculations, so it has an inverse function. So to work out theta, you do the inverse tan function. Sometimes it's called the arctan. Like I think that's how iPhones have the calculator. They have arctan instead of tan inverse 1. So this might be iPhones. So that's an important thing to know, because you usually use your calculator on your phone to calculate things in real life. So you need to know all the different lingo. But it works the same. You just do tan inverse or arctan of 2 divided by 4. So those are the same operations. So in our calculator, just a regular standard one, to work this out, you need to know how to use the shift button. So you push shift and then tan, and it brings up the yellow writing instead of what the actual button is. So you got tan negative 1, 2 divided by 4 equals 26.1. 6 degrees. Alright. Well, I have to assume it's correct. Yeah, actually that is. Okay, let's do another one. So, you don't always label the angle theta. Sometimes this is alpha. So usually I will use a Greek letter for an angle. In the textbook they actually they use a capital A, but I don't think this is confusing because there's the adjacent side which is also a capital A, so I don't really want to use capital A very often, but that's how they did it in the textbook, which I don't really agree with. Anyway, let's solve this problem. What have we been given? We have been given the hypotenuse side. Forgot to draw a right angle there. And then this side is the opposite side. So we got O and H, so we're going to be using the SO circle. So the SO circle, we're trying to work out sine of the angle. So the angle is always buried in the S, the T, or the C. So to work that out, we're going to do opposite divided by hypotenuse. So we get our formula, that is O divided by H. S stands for sine of the angle, or actually in this case it's sine alpha, because we're using alpha this time, equals 95 over 100. Okay, so alpha is going to equal, now sine is the same as tan. When we bring it to the other side, it becomes a sine inverse, or arc sine. 95 divided by 100, close the bracket. Okay, let's put that onto our calculator. Shift sine 95 divided by 100 equals 71.8505 degrees, so 71.81. 71.81 degrees, because we're using 360 degrees in a circle. Okay, one last question, and you've probably got the hang of it by now. This is probably going to be a cos one because I wanted to go through all three. We are given the hypotenuse and we are given the adjacent side. You can see how this could be confusing. So this is the angle and this is the adjacent. So we'll be using the ka, because we've got H and A. We're trying to work out cos of the angle, so we're going to do A divided by H. Cos of the angle equals A divided by H. That's different from what I usually do. I usually do C equals A divided by H. So cos of the angle equals 3.8 over 8.5. We're running out of space. Do it over here. So that means, well, actually I've made another mistake. because we're not using theta, we're using angle A. So A equals cos inverse of 3.8 over 8.5. Let's chuck that in our calculator. Shift cos 3.8 divided by 8.5. 63.444. 63.44 degrees. All right. There we go. Anyway, I will just leave this lesson here because I need to get prepared for my next one with my year 12s. So, this exercise has some practice. Just do question 3 onwards. Just go through a few problems just to reinforce finding the angle.